Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broads. 6-0. The Flyers got their ass kicked in Boston. Am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. Am I disappointed? Yeah, they've been playing hot hockey. They've been playing well. I thought they could give us a little bit of a fight. I figured they would lose the game. It feels like the Bruins are 72-0. But give me a 3-1 hard effort. Give me a game where it's 2-1. It's back and forth. You got to pull Carter Hart with a minute left to go. You try and score 6 on 5. You're working around the offensive zone a little bit. But here comes Pasta with an empty netter who puts it in with 7 seconds to go, and then the TD guard interrupts, and then you move on to the next night when you play the Anaheim Ducks. But instead, it's the complete opposite. They looked intimidated from the puck drop. I thought their gap control was pretty weak. The Bruins are just entering their offensive zone. They have flow. They have creativity. One pass, one timer. It's off the post and in. I mean, it just felt very simple and very easy for them. It felt as if the Flyers were scared. It felt as if they were playing a team that was 10,000 times better than them. And they are, right? Nobody's going to pretend like they're not. But it's just about the approach and the willingness to kind of match that. No, they played hard. They left it all out there. It's not like I thought they didn't, show up. The problem is they did show up, and they're 6-0 bad against the Bruins. That's how talented the Bruins are, and that's how bad the Flyers are. You think about what happened the other day against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Flyers didn't look the same way as they do when they play other teams in this league, right? We're going to see Anaheim. You're going to go from the best team in the league to arguably one of the worst that's fighting for Connor Bedard. Then you play Chicago. I mean, you're seeing the complete night and day stuff, but it's just disappointing, right? I wanted them to have a little bit more in them. I wanted to see some creativity. I wanted to see a response. All right, let's say you fall down 4-0. Can you make it 4-2? Can you make it? Can you make it 4-3? And then eventually maybe you lose 6-3? And I'm not just saying with empty net goals. Maybe there's another push by Boston when it's 5-on-5, or you take a penalty because the other team's faster than you. You get your stick caught in their skate. Now you're on the PK. And with the man advantage, you know they're going to move the puck very well. Krejci's going to get another assist. It just felt like assist after assist after assist. Grzelcyk, right? You got the tough guys at the end trying to make a statement with Zach McEwen, Delorier. They're doing all sorts of things. Tony DeAngelo's in the mix. They're looking for some fights. And then as soon as there's open space because there's a ton of guys in the box, Grzelcyk just rips one past the blocker reversing, and there you go. It's 6-0. They got embarrassed, and they got beaten down. Now, granted, you are talking about a serious squad and what's happening in Boston right now, but I still think it's fair based off the way the Flyers won 7 of 8 to give us a little bit more. But John Tortorella and the rest of the team had a pretty simple message afterwards. What are you going to do about it tomorrow? And I expect them to play with their ass lit on fire. You're also at home, and you're playing a really bad team. I think that's a part of the reason why maybe once it was 4-0, you get Carter Hart out of the net. Because you know there's a back-to-back. Throw Ersan in there and just kind of see what ends up happening. But when you score 0 goals, I hate to break it to you, it ain't going to be pretty. Right? You're not going to win the game. Turnover by Tony D at the blue line. I honestly thought that at some points they were playing pretty decent. They had a 2-on-1 opportunity when the score was 0-0. Who knows what happens if they would have cashed in nice and early? Maybe it still would have been 6-1. But when you have a turnover at the blue line in your own defensive zone and you allow these type of weapons to come in on a rush, and they just come in waves, and they find so much space. I believe it was their 3rd goal. Yeah, it was. It was their 3rd goal to make it 3-0. When you talk about textbook hockey, you're on the half wall in the O-zone. You stop, you create some space from the defenseman. You move the puck up to your D-man, one-timer, puck's on net, you win a battle in front of the blue paint, and then you put it in. So it's great by your offense. You go from offense to your half wall up to your D. You put pucks on net. You win stick battles in front. You shoot the puck looking for a rebound. And just every area, every layer, they were 5 steps ahead. But if you were going to look at a description on how to get it done, that was exactly it. They enter the zone. It's one pass. It's a one-timer. It's in the back of your net. I'm jealous as hell. That's what I want to see here. Could you imagine every time their song plays after they score a goal, Pasta's going down the line again, Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand. I mean, these guys score every single damn night. We're thrilled with Travis Konechny doing it. Imagine having 5, 6 guys for as long as they've done it. Patrice Bergeron's been in the league since I was 1, since I was 2. It feels like. I don't even know his first year. I'm just being facetious. But who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if he's been in the league for 77 years already. What was his first season? Patrice Bergeron. David Krejci's getting his 1,000 game. Where is he at? Patrice Bergeron's first season in the NHL. 2003, I was 8. He's still doing it. 1,017 points in 1,259 games. Just doesn't make much sense, man. It's absolutely outrageous. Anyway, yes, we are also live on TikTok. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. So, if you're listening to this, not on TikTok, yeah, Broads Media. Give it a follow. We're doing it for the first time, doing a little duo stream. We'll see how it ends up going. But at the end of the day, you know, it kind of was to be expected. But I think it's fair for a bit of deflation. Now, here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to overreact to the crazy level. I saw people pissed at Carter Hart. Would Carter Hart maybe like to have back the second goal? No doubt about it. Tortsy said it best after the game. This was a team loss. This was not on any goalie. What did you want him to do? There was a lot wrong in this game. I think you just allowed them to have too much time and too much space for creativity. And when that's the case, with this firepower, they're going to dance all over you. Even goals where Nick Seeler is defending a rush. It hits off his skate. If you go back and watch the replay, I believe it was Pasta backdoor. Maybe it was someone else, but I believe it was Pasta. Even if it didn't hit Nick Seeler, or even if it didn't hit whoever was driving the net, they had a third guy on the back post that would have tapped it in with ease. They're everywhere. They know where to be. They know how to move the puck. They're driving the net. People don't point out driving the net. That's not sexy. You want to look at Owen Tippett's beauty of a wrister that finds twine. You want to watch guys dance and defend their little forehand, backhand through the stick. Some great stick work, some beauty sauces, right? That's what it's all about. But they got 2 guys driving the net. Normally, you send the one guy driving high, one guy driving the net, and the third guy stays high. So you can get a nice pass from the half wall to the high slot and let it rip. They're sending 2 guys to the net. Whatever. They do it all. So, yes, I'm with the team and the coach with the messaging. So you got your ass handed to you. Flush it and move on. Because the expectations were you were going to lose this game. What you need to do, though, as I've mentioned in previous shows, is keep your foot on the gas. What you can't do is let this turn into a slip-up against Anaheim. The Chicago Blackhawks to win a game and beat you. You got to take care of business against the teams that you should beat. And we know they can beat the bottom feeders. Honestly, at this point, I think I know that they can do a little bit of something against teams that are in a certain pack. The Buffalo Sabres. The Washington Capitals. A home and home. Smell ya. Flyers handled business. So Toronto, Boston, that seems to be where there's a significant, and I mean significant, difference in play. But if you look at all those other teams, if they perform the way they have, still in good shape. But anyway, I don't even know if I finished my point. Oh, I did, about Carter Hart and the frustration that was there for Carter. What are we doing? Carter Hart's been sensational. Carter Hart has helped you win a ton of games. 40-plus save performances, keeping you involved when you have zero business of being there. And to be honest with you, my takeaway today isn't even Carter Hart. Yeah, he got yanked. At some point, you're looking for a spark. You know, that's why you send fourth liners. Foligno's out there trying to fight Travis Konechny. I thought guys like McEwen and Delorier would jump out sooner. Maybe they tried to, and it didn't pan out. I know towards the third period, the gloves were off, and guys were trying to do something, even though it didn't pan out. When it gets ugly, you just try and let the other team know you're not going to walk all over us. They couldn't send that message, apparently, because, well, they did get walked all over, or skated all over, however you want to describe it. But at some point, it's like, you know, it's not Carter's day. But to be honest with you, the farthest thing from my mind today is, wow, Carter Hart let your team down. Because if you want to play that game, he's done 89% great this season. And I don't even know what the other 11 would be, because he hasn't been poor 11% of the time. I ain't worried about it. If you watch this kid play night in and night out, you know he's the future of this franchise in between the net. A team bad game as a full-on squad in Boston with the current makeup of this team that the Flyers are, it's okay. We'll be all right. Anyway, I'm going to play a call here on the Flyers. Yes. Okay. And for the TikTok audience, I'll just kind of relay the message after the call because you won't be able to hear this. Here we go.
Hey, bros. Love the show. Does it make it worse that we didn't attach the 2023 first to JVR to get Johnny Gaudreau? Also, too, do Flyers fans understand that you can't sell high on any of your players if you're a bottom five team every year? Think of either selling your house or refinancing your house. You're not going to do it when the market's low. You're obviously going to do it when it's high. So just kind of my thoughts on that of tanking. Philadelphia is not a city that you can really tank in. So love the show, man. Peace.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. Okay, let's start with the beginning. So he brought up the fact that there was once a time that JVR could have been moved in theory. Maybe you pile up draft picks to help with the salary, this and that, to go after Johnny Gaudreau. Does it hurt that they didn't do that? Yeah, I've been saying that from the rip. You bring in a guy like Johnny Gaudreau, and I get it, the Columbus Blue Jackets are not doing anything crazy. All right, they're actually a very bad team this year. But if you're looking at the longevity of the contract and how that can help change the team, let's look at, Columbus is Columbus, though, so it's not as if it's some big-time hockey market and some absurd place to play. It's hard because I don't think the fan base and the idea and beliefs of what the Flyers fan base, okay, maybe I'll reword it this way. The standard of Philadelphia Flyers hockey and what we demand our franchise to be is not what the Columbus Blue Jackets are. It's a different market. It's a different organization. It's a different team. Whatever the Blue Jackets are in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, I don't really know. And quite frankly, I don't really care. But I do know that we demand way more here. So just the longevity of the contract of what Johnny Gaudreau could provide and what that could spark as a franchise for the long run here. Yeah, I think it was a terrible, 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 terrible offseason considering what they did besides that, right? A Rasmus Ristolainen deal. I don't really even despise anything Tony DeAngelo related, bringing him in on the short deal. It was nothing that would put this franchise in a tough spot down the road because of the years and whatnot. But I'm just saying, they told you retool. They sold you this message of what they're going to do. And then a homegrown talent who can give you 100-plus points in an NHL season, they don't want it. It doesn't add up at all. It's the disconnect between what they're saying and the actions actually pushed and how they just did it very poorly that bothers me the most. Yeah, I'm pissed off about it. I am pissed off about it. I think it's outrageous. They don't grow on trees. They don't come into the league every single season, Gaudreau. Now, they still might miss the playoffs because there's a lot of other issues. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if he was here. Right now, he's got 41 points in 42 games. He's a point-per-game player on one of the worst teams in the league. Last season, he had 115 points. He's got 650 points in 644 games. If you don't want that in your franchise, you're an idiot. Just bad way to go about business. So, yeah, I'm irritated. I think it was terrible. You got to be creative. Sorry, my nose is running here. You got to be creative. If you're a GM, if you're a president of hockey operations, you got to find ways to get cute, to package up some things. And I don't even care what that first-round pick might end up being that you would have lost if you did trade JVR. Because I know for a fact that they're probably not going to give you 115 points in the National Hockey League. I know a 99-point season in 82 games that he had in Calgary isn't just going to happen. 84 points in 80 games, 36 goals one year, 40 goals another year, 30 goals in another year. It's absurd. Now, the caller also brought up selling high. He said about trading players. You don't sell players when you're a bottom 5 team or something like that. No, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. That's when you sell. When you're a bad team at the trade deadline, that's when you sell. You don't sell when you're in a playoff hunt. This might probably be the time to maximize some deals at the deadline. You're flirting around 500. I know the players and the head coach want to get into the postseason. But at some point, teams are going to pick up the phone to try and add to their loaded roster. This is the only time that you try and get rid of your stuff. And the caller also brought up that every year they're bottom 5. They're not every year. In 2020, the bubble season, they won that little stupid mini play-in tournament. And what were they? Down 3-1 to the Islanders. They forced a Game 7. They were one game away. They were Game 7. One game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. And in any other sport, I'd say that was just because of the bubble. But I've watched too much hockey in my life to know that there's a lot more to it than that. In this game, if you get hot at the right time, you get hot at the right time. The Montreal Canadiens playing deep postseason games. It's just how it goes. So the Flyers aren't bottom 5 every year. If anything, it's been kind of hot, cold, make the playoffs, miss the playoffs, make the playoffs, miss the playoffs, make the playoffs, miss the playoffs. That's been my entire life. That's been how it's been for way too damn long. And that's the bigger issue. So if you're talking about selling guys and having fear that now's not the time, you can sell guys. The problem is contracts. Rasmus Ristolainen's deal isn't appealing. You could, I think in theory, trade Tony DeAngelo if you wanted to. Ivan Provorov is a name that I think has some intrigue. But Kevin Hayes is going to be extremely difficult unless you take on some of that salary hit and take on some of that cap. Anyway, you know what was more fun and more entertaining? Talking about winning 7 of 8. You know what's not as fun? Talking about losing 6-0 in Boston and getting humiliated in the middle of the afternoon. You could have just given us something to hold our hat on. Now, that would probably, if we're being honest, be asking for too much. Because deep, 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 deep down, we know. Right? We're not dumb. We're not foolish. We know. So it ultimately makes sense. But it hurts. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I need to accept it. I'm not going to accept it, damn it. I'm bummed what happened this afternoon. Anyway, Anaheim tomorrow. See how it goes. Thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me today. I'll catch you guys on the next one.